Hey, my little triglets, welcome to Trig B. Here we go again, starting with section 6.1. This section has some whoppers of formulas, but I'm going to show you a little triggy tricks to remember them quite easily. All right, so we are going to talk about measuring angles that are kind of immeasurable. So let's start out with the unit circle here. And let's say we have an angle going like this. We're going to call that angle A. Then there's another angle that you measure right here, and we're going to call that angle B. But the angle that you really want is within this triangle, and it's this angle here. Well, if we take all of A and we take out B, that will leave the red angle. The red angle is A minus B. So there are times when you need to use the sine or cosine of angles that you haven't really measured. We've measured A, we've measured B, and we need to figure out the cosine or sine of A minus B. So there are 4 formulas that we're going to need to memorize. Once we get them all written down, I'll enlighten you on the little tricky way to remember it. So the first one, cosine A plus B. Cosine A plus B, if you want to see the derivation of these, you can look in the chapter, but it's kind of a very long, drawn-out process. So if you're interested in that, just ask or look in the book. But for right now, we're just going to go straight to the formulas. So the cosine of A plus B goes like this. Cosine of A, cosine of B, minus sine A, sine B. I know it doesn't seem like that should be what it is, but it is. You do not distribute the cosine, okay? No distribute. It's a word. It's not a letter. It's not a number. It's a word. You do not distribute words. So if that were giraffe or onion, you don't distribute it. It's the word cosine. It's a button that you push on the calculator to do something, so you don't distribute it. Okay, the next one is cosine of A minus B. And it's very similar to this one, but guess what we're going to change? Still cosine A, cosine B, plus sine A, sine B. All right, so those are the 2 cosine ones. Let's do the 2 sine ones. Sine of A plus B we'll start with, and that is sine A cosine B plus cosine A sine B. It's a little different. You have sine and cosine together rather than sine and sine together. And the next one of sine of A minus B is sine A cosine B minus cosine A sine B. All right, now that looks like a lot of very confusing stuff. But the phrase that pays that you have to remember is sine has same sign. Okay, that is the phrase that pays. The sign has same sign. Now let me explain what that means. Look at the signs. They're both pluses. They match. So the sign has the same sign as it starts with. This is plus, so this is going to be plus. Cosine has the opposite. So if sine has the same, cosine has the opposite. Now as far as the words here, if you have the same sign, you're going to have opposite words. Here's the same sign, you're going to have opposite words in both places. But if you have the opposite sign, you're going to have the same words. So it's kind of by default. If sine has the same sign, that means it has different words. Okay, and then that means cosine has different signs, but it has the same words. But really, all you need to remember is that phrase, and then all this other stuff you can deduce from that. So, all right, let's do a couple problems here. Let's try to find the cosine of 5 pi over 12. Now that's not on our circle. I want to find the exact value, which means put your calculator down. You can't use it. When you see exact, that means use your circle. Now, 5 pi over 12 is not on our circle, but we can break it down into two things that are on the circle. For example, 5 pi over 12 can be broken down into 3 pi over 12 plus 2 pi over 12, which reduce to pi over 4 and pi over 6. Now those are on the circle. So those become our A and our B. Cosine of pi over 4 plus pi over 6, these become the A and the B. So we're going to use the cosine A plus B formula. Now I highly, highly, highly recommend that you write it down. The cosine of A plus B equals, all right, let's see if we can do it from memory. Sine has same sign, so that means cosine has different sign, but same words. So cosine A, cosine B, and then sine A, sine B. So now we plug in the A and the B. So cosine of pi over 4 plus pi over 6 equals cosine of pi over 4, cosine pi over 6, and then sine of pi over 4, sine of pi over 6. Okay, so all we did was plug in the A and the B that we figured out by breaking up 5 pi over 12. Now you go to your circle and you look up, oops, can't spell. Now you look it up. What's the cosine of pi over 4? Here's pi over 4. Cosine is root 2 over 2. So I'm going to plug that in. So instead of cosine of pi over 4, it's root 2 over 2. It's not the cosine of root 2 over 2. You can't take the cosine of the answer. Take the cosine of the angle. Then the cosine of pi over 6 is root 3 over 2. Then the sine of pi over 4 is root 2 over 2. And the sine of pi over 6 is the short side, so it's 1/2. And it's all multiplication, so this becomes root 6 over 4. This becomes root 2 over 4. And you can leave it like that, or you can say root 6 minus root 2 all over 4. So either way is correct. All right, let's try a different version. Same kind of information needed, but different version a little bit. So I want to find the exact, remember, put your calculator down, value for sine of A minus B and cosine of A minus B. And we're given, given, doesn't quite look like it, but we'll go with it, that the tangent of A is 3/4. The secant of B is 13/5. And they are not in quadrant 1. So neither A nor B are in quadrant 1. So let's figure out what quadrant they are in. Well, if tangent is a positive 3/4, it's either in first quadrant or third quadrant. Remember, all sin tacos. That tells you where they're positive. So it's all is in the first and tangent is in the third. So I know tangent has to be in the third. So I'm going to draw a triangle in the third quadrant. Now remember, tangent is y over x. So that means the y is 3 and the x is 4. However, we're going left and down, so that makes them both negative. Now, sine of a minus b. Let's write the formula down because that's what we're trying to find. Sine has same sign, so different words. So sine a cosine b, cosine a sine b. All right, so we need the sine of a. The sine of a is y over r. R in this case is a 5 because it's a 3, 4, 5 triangle. So y is negative 3 and r is 5. So the sine of a, I don't even know what the angle is. I don't know what a is, but I don't have to know what a is because this is the sine of a. So instead of sine of a, I just write in negative 3/5. So I'm kind of skipping the step where you have to go to your circle and look it up because it's already given to us. Okay, then the cosine of a is x over r, so that'd be negative 4/5. So I'll put that in over here. Then let's switch to green. I need the cosine of b and the sine of b. Well, they tell us that the secant of b is positive. Remember the evil twins, secant and cosecant. Secant is the evil twin of cosine. So cosine is really 5/13. And if it's not in quadrant 1, where else is cosine positive? Here and here. So I'm going to draw a triangle in this quadrant because it said not in quadrant 1. And cosine is x over r, but we have secant, so we have r over x. So 13 over 5. And Pythagorean theorem will work out, and this would become 12, and it's going down, so it's negative 12. So cosine, we could even just get from this, is 5/13. But the sine is negative 12/13. And now you just multiply them together, negative 15/65. And then 3 negatives will make it still minus 48/65. So negative 63/65 is your answer. Okay, so same type of problem, but a little different because we didn't even have to know the angles. We just had to know the ratio, the sine and the cosine. Now the one we didn't do, cosine of a minus b, we'll just write the formula. I'll try to squeeze it in here. Cosine a, cosine b, sine has same sign, so cosine is opposite. So that would be plus sine a, sine b. Let's plug it in. We already have all these from up above. The cosine of a is right here, so negative 4/5. Cosine of b is right here, so 5/13. Sine of a is negative 3/5, and sine of b is negative 12/13. Multiplying, I get negative 20. I'll go back up here. Negative 20/65 plus 36/65. So that's 16/65. All right. Okay, so the next time you have notes, we're going to finish this. We're going to talk about tangent. So we're going to stop here. We've gone on long enough. Just don't forget, it's been a long break, but you need to remember the trig love. All right, we'll see you in school.